All right, let's talk about a book it's one of the most controversial and fascinating books ever written. Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. People argue about it all the time. Is it a ruthless playbook for the ambitious, or is it more of a defensive manual for navigating our crazy world? Honestly, whatever your take is, you can't deny its lessons are incredibly potent. And right off the bat, the book just hits you with this chilling quote from Machiavelli. It's a seriously powerful opening, and it perfectly sets the stage for what the whole book is about. A philosophy that's, as pragmatic as it is, unsettling. So what exactly is that philosophy? Well, basically, it's this idea that the world, it operates like a giant, scheming, old-school aristocratic court. And in this court, all of us, yeah, you and me, whether we like it or not, we're all just players in this relentless, inescapable game of power. And this whole situation creates what the book calls the courtier's dilemma. It's this weird paradox, right? On the surface, you have to look like the perfect picture of elegance and decency. But underneath it all, you've got to be a master strategist, constantly and subtly outmaneuvering your rivals using charm, deception, the whole shebang.
Okay, so right about now, you're probably thinking, hang on, I don't play these games. But here's the book's big counter-argument. Even the people who say they've opted out, they're still playing. In fact, their claims of being super honest or displaying weakness are often just really clever power moves disguised as some kind of moral high ground.
Trying to fight this reality, according to Greene, is not just pointless, it's actually dangerous. All it does is leave you totally vulnerable and, let's be honest, pretty miserable. So the only real choice you have is to learn the rules of the game. Okay, so if we have to play this game, how do we actually get good at it? Well, it all starts with having the right mindset. And listen, it's not about being aggressive. It's about control and perception.
So before you can even think about using any of the 48 laws, you have to master two absolutely fundamental skills. First up, get a handle on your emotions. Things like anger, even love, they just cloud your reason, and you need a clear head for strategy. The second skill, the art of being indirect. Making obvious, forceful moves is just clumsy. Real power, that lies in seduction, charm, deception, all that subtle stuff. All right, let's see how this all plays out in the real world. And we'll start with the very first law, maybe the most famous one: never outshine the master. To really get this law, the book gives us a tale of two very talented men. It's a classic case of what to do versus what not to do. In one corner, we have Nicolas Fouquet, the super extravagant finance minister to King Louis XIV of France. And in the other corner, the brilliant astronomer himself, Galileo Galilei. So Fouquet, he decides to throw a party for the king. And not just any party. I mean, the most spectacular party anyone had ever seen. He probably thought he was just being a good, loyal subject. But here's the thing. The party was too good. It made the king feel insecure. Instead of just celebrating the king, it screamed, "Look at how rich and popular I am." It was a huge, huge mistake. And the fallout was swift and brutal. The very next day, Fouquet was arrested. He ended up spending the last 20 years of his life locked away in prison, all because he threw too good a party. Wow. Now Galileo, he was way smarter about it. When he discovered the moons of Jupiter, he didn't just run around shouting about how brilliant he was. No, he framed his discovery as a tribute to his patrons, the powerful Medici family. He literally made them shine brilliantly by linking their greatness to the stars. He made his masters look good, and that's what mattered.
So the takeaway from Law 1 is pretty clear, right? Always make your bosses feel smart and secure. But Law 2 points to a danger that's way closer to home and honestly, a lot harder to see coming.
Yeah, this one's a tough pill to swallow. The book basically asks, who's more likely to betray you, a friend or an enemy? Think about that for a second.
Okay, so get the story about Emperor Michael III. He befriends a simple stable boy named Basilius and basically makes him his best friend. He showers him with education, wealth, immense power, everything. But here's the tragic part. The more Basilius got, the more envious and ambitious he became. That gratitude soured, and the friendship ended with Basilius having the emperor, his great benefactor, murdered in his sleep. Just brutal. So what do you do instead? Well, compare that to Emperor Sung of China. He provides a masterclass. He took the exact opposite approach.
He saw that his powerful friends in the army could be a problem, so he basically paid them off to retire peacefully. And then, get this, he pardoned his former enemies and put them in charge. The logic is cold, but it makes a certain kind of sense, right? A reformed enemy has everything to prove and will be fiercely loyal. But a friend, well, a friend is much more likely to feel envy and take you for granted.
So, after all these cold, calculating strategies, what's the big takeaway here? What are we supposed to do with all this? Well, the book's final point isn't really telling you to be a ruthless monster. It's saying, be an artist. If the game of power really is inescapable, and the book argues it is, then you're better off being a master of it than someone who denies it exists or just bungles their way through. Because at the end of the day, power is a social game. It's all about understanding people. And mastering these laws, it's not about being evil. It's about being aware. It's the difference between being a pawn who gets knocked off the board and being the player who actually understands the rules. And that really leaves you with a final, pretty provocative question, doesn't it? It kind of forces you to look at your own life, your own interactions, in a totally different light. In the great game of power, what role are you playing? And that's our quick guide to the 48 laws of power.